It's another edition of Time About the Movies. Today we're taking a look at the movies of June 21st, 1991. We've only got two movies to look at today, so let's go ahead and get right to it. And we're going to start off with the movie that Premiere Magazine. If you don't know what Premiere Magazine is, it was kind of like Entertainment Weekly. They were kind of like competing back and forth as like the premier entertainment magazine. Premiere Magazine mostly focused on more movie-related stuff. Sometimes they'd have some TV, sometimes they'd have some music stuff, but most of that was left over to Entertainment Weekly. Premiere Magazine was the movie magazine of the time. They actually predicted this first movie that we're looking at to be the highest-grossing movie of the summer of 1991. Now, keep in mind, we had a summer that had The Rocketeer, sequels to Naked Gun, The Terminator, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Backdraft, movies with Billy Crystal, Sylvester Stallone, Spike Lee's latest film, all these big movies, and they predicted our first movie here to be the highest-grossing film of the summer. Well, let's go ahead and see if they were right on it. It's Julia Roberts and Campbell Scott in Dying Young. So you really thought this was going to be the highest-grossing movie of the summer? I mean, I kind of get it, but I mean, okay, you have Joel Schumacher, who had done The Lost Boys a couple years prior to this, and then the last summer, he had Flatliners, which also starred Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts, at this point, was one of the top-grossing stars at the time. She had just done Pretty Woman, which was a huge hit for her the year before. Then Sleeping with the Enemy came out in February. That was also a big hit. So, I guess in some way, you could kind of see why they went that way, but nothing about this movie says that this was going to be anywhere near the highest grossing movie of the summer. I mean, maybe if you could have said it was a sleeper summer hit, make something on the lines of like what we got in the 2000s with The Notebook and The Lake House, or even something like The Fault in Our Stars in the 2010s, but the highest grossing film of the summer, even in the summer where we didn't even know if Terminator was going to be a big hit whatsoever, or if The Naked Gun 2.5 was going to be a big hit in any way, shape, or form, there's no way this movie was going to be the highest-grossing movie of the summer. I mean, just that trailer alone is so... I don't know how to describe it. That trailer pretty much does not say anything that this is going to be a top-grossing movie. It was a hit. It made money. I think it made like $82 million worldwide on a $38 million budget, but the highest-grossing movie of the summer, really? Yeah, I just don't see it. I mean, nothing about this really is anything new or anything different that we haven't seen done over and over again. It's just a concept that's just been done to death so many times, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. It also feels melodramatic as all hell. I mean, nothing about this trailer really says it's going to stand out against any of these other movies that would have come out at any other point in the year. It's just a dumb idea to think that this is going to be the one that breaks the mold when that trailer shows absolutely nothing about it that makes it you think it's going to be that. I mean, yeah, as far as the movie itself goes, it's like I said, it's very melodramatic. I guess the performances by Julia Roberts and Campbell Scott aren't that bad, but like I said, there's nothing really about it that makes it stand out over other movies of its type. I mean, there have been much better movies that have the same concept, but have been done so much better than this movie has done it. And I guess the best I can say is that it's not terrible, but to say it's going to be the highest-grossing movie of the summer compared to everything else that was coming out then, yeah, that was a huge misstep on the front of Premiere Magazine. And yeah, the movie itself is just okay. It's just an okay movie. That's probably its biggest sin with all that hype that built up to it. It's just an okay movie. It's nothing really all that special. The performances, I think, are just fine, but there's nothing really about it that makes it stand out on any way, shape, or form. So that's Dying Young for you. But let's get to the movie that probably should have been one of the biggest hits of the summer, but of course nobody went to see it. It's Disney's The Rocketeer. Okay, maybe saying that nobody went to go see it was a little bit of an overstatement. The movie did make money. It did gross $46 million off of a $35 million budget, but definitely still did not have the same it was a major disappointment, to say the least, for Disney at least, because they were hoping for something on the lines of Batman again, or even something like on the lines of Dick Tracy, but it never really reached that point. And it's a shame, because this is a pretty damn good movie. I mean, Joe Johnston directed this movie. He had just done Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and he would use a lot of this for... He would use the same kind of similar style 20 years later to do Captain America: The First Avenger, which is still a pretty damn good movie to watch. And like I said, the movie is just fun. It's a fun pulp action style film. It takes place. I mean, it's released in the 90s, but it feels like a movie set in the 30s. It does feel like a old school adventure film, like the ones you used to see on Saturday afternoons in the 40s and 50s at theaters. And it's a ton of fun. I mean, Bill Campbell works very well as the Rocketeer. You've got a great supporting cast that includes Alan Arkin, Jennifer Connelly, Timothy Dalton, Paul Sorvino, rest in peace, who passed away not too long after before recording this episode on July 28th. And yeah, like I said, it's a really good, fun adventure film. The visuals still hold up to this very day. The action sequences are still very good. The acting is very good as well. The storytelling is very well done. The sequences are very nicely shot. This is a really good, fun adventure film, and it is a shame that the film did not really get to do as well as they expected it to, because this is a movie that really could have revolutionized, that really could have changed the way the studio would have went from years forward. I would have liked to have seen this movie do well. We could have gotten some more of these older serial action-adventure heroes like the Phantom and all that coming back into theaters the way they did. But even though the Phantom did come back into theaters in the 90s later on, in 96, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to go for here. I really wish this movie would have done better, because this is a really good film. It's a really good, fun adventure film. This is the type of movie that summers were made for. This is like a good, fun summer popcorn escapism entertainment film. Lots of good action, lots of good acting, lots of good writing. The visuals are very impressive. And it's a shame that nobody went to go see it, because it definitely really deserves a lot more attention than it got back then. Luckily, it has. In the decades since, this movie has gotten a really good cult following over years. They've actually made a TV series for kids with Campbell reprising his role as the Rocketeer on Disney Junior. So the momentum has grown over the years. You can still see a lot of Rocketeer memorabilia when you go to Disney's Hollywood Studios in Florida, and I think they have some in California as well. I'm not entirely sure though, but yeah, I am glad to see that this movie has had a long cult following since the movie came out, because it really deserves the attention. It is a phenomenal film. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking it out. It's definitely well worth it. The Rocketeer, a great underrated Disney action-adventure film. And so on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time around, we'll wrap up the week by wrapping up the month of June. We've got the biggest comedy sequel of the year, The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear. We also have Europa, Europa, and we also have The Reflecting Skin. So we'll look at all three of those movies the next time we meet. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another new episode. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and until then, as always, take care.